Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Success Express business and career show. Success is not always that quick, but if you have a roadmap, maybe it can be. Today, we welcome Digital Smarty Pants, Doyle Buehler. He is the author of the Amazon bestselling book, Breakthrough, Unleash Your Remarkable Brand Value, Influence, and Authority. So you can get on Amazon, of course, but you can go to his website, Department Digital, and that's Department with D-E-P-T. Because I can spell, right? Doyle, welcome to the show.
Perfect.
How are you?
Oh, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, no, really cool to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm really glad you're here because so much has changed, post-COVID, and we're not quite out of COVID. I keep saying that, and it's really, we're still running around with a mask on in a grocery store, depending on where we go. But, a lot has changed in business. And right now, I kind of feel like, when Google happened, like our business was print before Google happened, and then Google happened, and we were going around telling people, oh, you have a website, you should at least put it on your business card and in your print advertising. I know we've talked about this a long time ago, but I kind of feel like that new revolution of the internet is happening because people see that they actually could run a business through different outlets, but they should have their own website, and your book really gives them this foundation of, okay, I want to start a business. Why? What is my goal? And you can utilize all these tools and everything in the wonder of the internet that is there. But if you don't have that roadmap, you're kind of gonna get sucked into a vortex.
Yeah, well, stuck. Use the literal metaphor where if you don't have a roadmap, I mean, most of us stay in and around the city, right? But someone like you're adventurous and you're traveling, across the country and that sort of thing. So if you don't have a roadmap, I mean, you have a GPS and they're kind of the same thing. But the point is that you need to know where it is you're going next, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the foundation of the book and everything I do. It's having that strategy, that foundation to say, hey, this is where we're headed. This is why people are going with us. This is where our bus is going, right? It says it on the front, kind of thing. And if you don't convey that message, then people aren't gonna jump on the bus. They might think that you're going to get lost too. So it's really important to build that strategic foundation and take the time up front. But in terms of COVID, we've seen a huge shift, right? Almost everything is online, right? And that major shift came about 2 years ago where it jumped significantly. We saw 5 years of growth in the span of about 6 months. And this was in 2020, 2021. Everybody was moving online, and the businesses that were able to go, hey, wait a sec, I can do this too. I can adapt my business. I can evolve the business. They were the ones that were able to capitalize on that massive growth. We're not going back, right? You may think even post-COVID that, hey, well, shops will still be open, and yes, they will. But what it's really indicated is that the real opportunity is online. The real opportunity is being able to serve people from outside of your neighborhood, right? Outside of the retail landscape of your shop, out into the suburbs, out into the state, across the country and around the world. So we've kind of reached this point where it doesn't matter what time or place or, that sort of thing. You can be anywhere with your store, with your business and that sort of thing. And that's what really a lot of businesses need to grab onto and say, hey, we can do this, and we can do this well also, so that we've got these tools, we've got these capabilities that allow us to do that. But you need to start somewhere. And for some, it's just saying, hey, I'm going to set up a website. For a lot of others, it's deciding, okay, well, what kind of strategy do I need? What kind of foundation do I need to build first? Every house that's built, you don't just go throw up the lumber and put in some stairs and some walls, right? They spend a lot of time on the foundation. Sometimes you wonder, are they actually working on anything? The big buildings, right? They put the big plywood around, and then it's construction for who knows, 6-9 months to a year. And it's what are they doing? They're building the foundation, and that takes time. If you want to grow high, if you want to scale the business and you don't have a foundation, it's going to topple. over time. So it's really important from an engineering, I used to be a former aerospace engineering, from an aerospace engineering perspective, you have to have that foundation before you can even think of putting an airplane in the sky.
That's the same in music. I'm a musician, and
Yeah,
you
there you
get your
go.
bass and your drummer, man. Like if you don't have
Yeah,
your bass and your drums, you got no, I mean, you can do your acoustic stuff, right? Not saying anything wrong with that, but you got to have your bass and your drums. That's your foundation. That's the one that allows you to have the groove and then reel
yeah,
everybody in and keep everybody in tune. And that's kind of what's neat about what your book is. It's like, okay, here's all these delusions, and we see it. We travel America. Okay, so if the internet wasn't, and thank God COVID actually made everybody boost the internet to be better. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for the world of pet sitting. And by the way, I have to say this, recording this while we're in Ilwaco, I think I'm saying it right, Washington, and we're across the street from the fire department. So Nancy was here, but she's playing with the dog Ember, which sounds good, right?
Oh,
Ember
really?
right across from the fire department. If you hear anything, like, maybe a tsunami's coming. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, it's
Well,
all
then,
good. So
yeah,
I'm just saying
then it's
that.
okay
But
to cut the interview short. It's like, I need to run. Sorry,
and I
really.
know it's like woo woo. But so far we've been good. But the internet's been, we can't do our business traveling across the country, and we've had to go through significant detours being on the road with COVID and all of that. We have to have this as our compass, and you have to shift and change. And it's the same thing on the internet. There's no difference. The internet's like one day TikTok is hot, one day it's Instagram, one day it's this. And we meet a lot of small business people doing what we do in the small towns. And I'll watch somebody's like, oh my God, I just started on Facebook. I had this recipe, or I was making this in the garage, and all of a sudden it just started blossomed on Facebook. And now I have a full on business. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no, you still need to have your own website. No,
yeah,
you cannot run your business just on Facebook because you could get hacked and taken down.
yeah.
Right.
Or Facebook will decide to shut you down too, and they've done that. They've killed
Mhm,
industries
mhm.
because they've changed their rules. And if you're on their platform exclusively and they change your rules, guess what? You're going to die.
Same as Amazon. I've watched that
Yeah,
with businesses. We've seen this, especially over the last 2 years. We've watched some clients go through it. We've watched people we just know go through serious changes. But like for Nancy and I, like we always have this is what we are doing. This is our content. We're there to entertain and educate, right? There's no way you're going to get educated without something silly happening. And along the way, it's always going to be something. But you have to shift and change with the tide. And I feel like if you just think, oh, I popped up with a business and I really love this and it's really fun and I'm really cool. Yeah, that's really nice. And I just want to go, can you take Doyle's book now? Because I don't want to burst your bubble, but it will come that you're going to have to shift and change. And it's going to be painful if you don't gather and look at everything. And you can't just hop from one hot new thing to the other without that foundation that you're talking about of actually knowing.
yeah.
And can you tell everybody they need a website?
Everybody needs a website. But it
It's still
needs to
real.
be,
I mean, I
it,
can't
it
believe we're
is.
saying this right now, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still need to say that.
I I think the problem though is that it's not necessarily the website, it's that people don't know, business people don't know what to do with the website. And we saw kind of this early stage development where it just became like a brochure. It's like, hey, I'm great. These are my wonderful products,
Oh, the
here,
big landing
contact
page.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's a brochure site and it's not a selling site. And that's, if I can, impact on, what we
Hmm.
talk about today, it's that your website is a sales asset, right? So use it. Don't just make it a flowery puff piece about your business or your products. And look, it has to have some of that, but it has to have a very clear call to action. It has to have a very clear, here, this is how I'm going to make your life different or better or that sort of thing. So if they latch onto that message, not just have like a website for a website, it's like you still go to web pages and they're very simple and they're not kind of part of that customer journey.
Mm.
And until they become part of it, they might go there, they might not. So yes, websites are important, but we kind of have to evolve them as well. And like you mentioned earlier, it's like a good metaphor is like, okay, they start their business on Facebook and they're selling product and that's kind of cool. But if you look at what they're actually doing, this is like, maybe you're a beginner surfer or medium surfer. Are you surfing out in Washington at all, or California?
It's cold, dude. Right now, I'm still
Okay,
shaking.
yeah,
I'm
true.
cold.
It's winter.
But you're from Canada, so I can't even say it. So,
Yeah, well,
I'm still cold.
I'm in Australia now, so it's like warm all year round. So, but
Well,
anyway,
that's
it's like
good.
riding a wave, right? You get on the wave, but guess what? If you want to kind of keep surfing that wave or surf the next big wave, you got to be prepared. And yeah, you're riding that initial wave of
Mhm.
success, which is lifting you.
Yeah.
But you know what, if you crash, as soon as you get up, a couple months down the road, then that doesn't really help you. So you have to learn how to do it. You have to know how to get out there. You have to know how to get back, and that sort of thing. And again, that's your strategy. It's like you see the wave and you see the line and push yourself off, and
Yeah.
away you go. But you have to be able to recover. You have to be able to get ready for the next wave. All this stuff you need to take into account. So,
And it's real. And COVID, I think, knocked a lot of people off their rocker a little bit, and then brought opportunity to others.
yeah,
And the rocker thing is, you got knocked off. I saw a lot of people that have brick and mortar stores suddenly, oh, we're online, we're doing this. I saw a lot of restaurants like, hey, we can do this. And then people just absolutely shut down. I mean, businesses that have been going for 50 to 70 to even 100 years old, like historic, noteworthy businesses,
yeah,
change over this, where, yeah, COVID, a virus thing, an outbreak, an epidemic is not something we normally put into our business plans. But you've got to, I feel like if you didn't, if you bring this in your book, you talk about you're so busy in the day-to-day business that you're not working on what's going on around you. Oh, we need to start tweaking. We need to, you talk about that where you're in it, but you're not on it. If
yeah.
that
You're
makes sense,
working in your business instead of on your business, and it's one of the tenets of entrepreneurship, right? Being able to do that, being able to separate the two. Look, working in your business is very important. Most of us start a business because we have a specific skill or a specific product or something that we're very, very familiar with. So we use that. But the problem is that we just focus in on delivering that, but yet there's a whole business out there. That's where your strategy comes in. It's I'm working on my business so that I can kind of see, well, what sales are we getting? Who's our customer? How do we identify them? How do we find out where they are? How do we deliver to them? How do we, provide that value to them? And if you're not looking out for that, if you're just building a great product, and don't get me wrong, that's good. You got to develop a great product, but if you got your blinders on, that's all you're focused on, the business can crumble. And that's, I think, what happened in a lot of places. And also it's unknowing. It's not sure, well, what am I supposed to do? But guess what? You can compete with the Amazon.coms of the world, right? In your own backyard, you have got the exact same tools. You've got the e-commerce, you've got the on-demand delivery rather, like Uber Eats, but for your products. You have that capability of creating that online persona. Some of the greatest success stories were the ones who actually saw that and said, I need to shift the model. Like a lot of restaurants, like, wow, they were like killed off by, however many there were, but there were a lot of them that died because they just wanted to hang on to that old business model of people come into my restaurant and I serve them and they pay me and then
and they
go
pay
away.
cash only, damn it.
Yeah, but that's the problem, is that the
Yeah.
restaurants who succeeded were the ones who said, hey, wait a sec, we need to shift to a completely takeout model and drive through and that sort of thing. So that's the ones that did. They came up with great menus, they came up with delivery, or they jumped on to the Uber Eats type services if that's what they were capable of doing, or they did it on their own. They created these commercial commercial kitchens.
Listen, it's
with
7 o'clock here.
cooking
You're at
chickens.
coffee time. I'm in the wine
Yeah,
time zone.
really.
No, I'm
Cooking
just messing
chickens.
with you.
But
But
they
yeah,
created these kitchens where that's all they would do is they
yeah,
would set up and they would make food for home delivery, right? So people would
yeah.
come pick up or it would be delivered directly to your home. There's nothing wrong with doing that for an e-commerce based product business or a service based business. You even have even more of an opportunity there.
I've seen a lot of businesses just go, oh, I didn't realize this about my business, and really, really thrive. And one of our friends has a business, and part of their survival story is now they really expanded. It's quite crazy, but their way through was they served. They're in a mountain community, a small town, they served all the seniors their lunches and their dinners. They got into that. They were like, oh, well, we can do that. We can make this happen. And there's all these little stories, but it's about thinking. And I also believe that people are running businesses emotionally attached to their product or service,
Mm. It's
and
their baby.
emotionally from
Yeah.
drama. So like you have to, so COVID put a lot of people into survival mode, but you've got to get past the panic to, and that's, I'm sorry, but in every day of an entrepreneur, anything can happen.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
get over it. Like,
but
what next? You know?
yeah, no, for sure. But you even had like these cases of even some really big businesses that they tripped and they fell like dramatically.
Yeah.
Like is one of them that I talk about a lot is Cirque du Soleil, right? That's the entertainment company. They're the live action theater and circus performance and that sort of thing. So they do these special performances around the world. Very big organization, originally from Montreal in like the late 80s type thing. But anyway, huge multi-billion-dollar multinational company. What did they do? They canceled. They just said, no, we're not going to do any more events. So they went bankrupt, right? But if you look at it, they've been producing content of these shows and selling memorabilia of their shows for the last 30 years. So you can't tell me that they didn't see it, and they didn't. But how could they not have seen sort of becoming the Netflix of spectacle, right?
Right.
They could have created a streaming subscription service, a product store, product tie-ins for all this kind of stuff. You pay $15, $25 a month and you can watch all of the Cirque du Soleil performances. And they've got some raving fans out there, but nothing, right? Just they're
And
going
now
bankrupt
everybody's in
because they
home
can't do
theater.
events.
Home theaters are now like expanded.
Oh,
We've
for
got
sure.
everybody's surround sound is at the max. Everybody's got their vegetable garden and their media room,
And they're
right?
happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it really worth going bankrupt to deny that opportunity that's out there, to say, hey, we have an audience, we have content, 33 decades of content. Like, it just blows my mind. It's like, convert to it. I thought for sure they would like convert to a streaming service. You pay a subscription and away you go. I think they do have something like that now, but it's nowhere near the scale that they could have really leveraged that. The growth of the streaming services over the last 2 years has been immense. So they missed that.
Musicians
Yeah.
have, some music, we've done some, I think, we do so many musician interviews, and, for them, they miss being live. There's an energy
Yeah.
in music, right? And I get it. And I miss it, but they did so much live streaming, and it was like, oh, thank God we're all like, especially at the beginning of COVID. But some I know are still doing streaming shows, and now some actually made more money than, and I'm talking about big people,
Yeah.
way up there, are making more money streaming and going, well, crap, I can
It's
sit at home
easier.
and have a good time. I can hang
Yeah.
out with my family. There's music services now. It was Musicverse, like Music Universe, Musiverse, that we did an interview with, where they created a platform for musicians that are really good, just really good session musicians. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they're up there, where if you're recording an album or something like that, you can go on their platform for a very minimal fee. The musicians get paid. They can do it all online, and you can create your album. It's a huge deal. I mean, we're talking about top notch, and all of these services came together during COVID, and I'm like, this is cool. And it's unity in a way, so when we look at online, whether you're a brick and mortar store or not, you can't ignore the digital world. And there still are people who do not have their website, their address on Google. Thank you. You suck, because you make me go in circles, so there's all these things. But with the foundation, looking at social media, because people get nervous about, like, oh, I got to do this, I've got to do that. So like TikTok comes about, right? So everybody thinks, oh, there's a new thing, I need to be on that. And so with having a roadmap and a strategy, you can go, no, not really. Or yes, hell yes, I need to get on that because I'm selling makeup for teeny boppers. I don't know. Sorry, I have no idea what to say about that. But I have clips up on there, but I'm not dancing. But I have, clips that people
You're
actually do
not.
look at. Apparently, food and nature stuff works. So I got that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And you don't, that's the key message there, is you don't need to be on everything. And that's what a good strategy will tell you. It's your strategy is about your value that you're delivering, right? It's
Mhm.
not just your vision and mission and that sort of thing. It's the step-by-step strategies that you're going to execute. And it might tell you, or through your value, right? So it might tell you that if my customer is on this channel and they're buying from this channel, then yeah, go for it, right? Or test it out. Run a 3-month experiment and see if it works for you. Just because we get the shiny object syndrome, right? We see it and it's like, oh my God, it's blowing up and I gotta generate revenue and all that. If you had a sound strategy, you would really be able to see it a lot differently in terms of, okay, how's that going to affect my bottom line? How's that going to take away resources to make these videos or promote these videos? And most entrepreneurs are very, very busy as it is. So when you say, well, just throw in another channel, right? Make some more videos. They're easy, right? It's not the case at all. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of process. So honestly, let other people test the waters. Doesn't mean it's not right for you, but you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to have all these channels for you. And if you find one that's works, then go for it. But experiment, test it out. Don't kind of change your whole business because a new social channel came up, because they have come and they have disappeared, right? Like Snapchat is, one of the ones that was an early riser, but I mean, still has obviously a lot of people on it, but it has nowhere near the pull as it did before. So if you enjoy making videos, find a channel that allows you to do that. If you enjoy talking about them, find an audio channel like Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse or that sort of thing. So you really have to zero in on what's my strategy to find out what the channels are. If you want to make videos, if you want to live stream videos, then use YouTube and Facebook and that sort of thing. But keep in mind, you don't have to be on everything all the time.
Right.
Test it out, see if it works.
I like that. And you also talk about, and you were posting this, and Doyle's got a great group on Facebook. But tell everybody, like, we're exploring. I like this. Give everyone the name if people are allowed to join.
Yeah. It's called the Extraordinary League of Entrepreneurs and Founders. And we're basic digital. I like to use the term digital pathfinders. So we're able to find, what works for businesses and strategy, what helps you build that foundation. Like, I don't tell you how to make Facebook posts and how to make videos. You know what? There's other pages for that. But if you really kind of want to understand a better strategy, then that's kind of where we talk about it. We use those tools to be able to see, okay, well, how can this affect my business? It's just not a, hey, try this type thing. It's what is actually working, and is that going to apply for your strategy? So yeah, you can just search on Facebook. It's the League of Extraordinary Entrepreneurs and Founders, and happy to have.
I like, because people talk and share things that you don't always, instead of competing, it's everyone's kind of like talking and helping. And I think that the strategy thing is it's mental. It
is, yeah.
It's a mental thing, and we have to get back to that. But you talked about this on Facebook, and it's also in your book, that we look at numbers, and I know because I'm in the marketing and advertising field, like how many hits, how many this and that, and I'm like, well, it's this, but I always talk about length of time people are on our websites, and it is about engagement. Like, we have puzzles, so people stay and do puzzles and listen to an interview while they're doing a puzzle. There's videos, you know what I mean? So it's about spending time. And I was cracking up at your post the other day, and I'm like, yeah, it's in your book too, that it's about engagement. And so many people how many people just go through on Instagram and Facebook and go like, and is there so you're helping an algorithm in a way, you're helping people, but there's like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I don't got no time for that.
No, no, don't start.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that you can't measure your business on those kinds of metrics, right? Like, what is your ultimate currency? And I mean dollars and cents, but does that account to revenue? Does that account to people downloading your video, or whatever the case may be? So it has to be very specific, and it has to be kind of an endpoint. It can't be something in the middle. All these metrics that we've been accustomed to, like number viewers or number of likes, like you mentioned, or number of subscribers. Those are decent. Don't get me wrong, right? But fundamentally, what is that currency that you're trying to get? Is it revenue? Is it sales? A bit higher up, is it leads? Or is it something more general like business success or coaching or something like that as well? So you kind of have to be very specific. And be as specific as you can. How are you generating ultimately the businesses? How are you generating revenue for the business? So that's a really key ingredient, and make sure that you're measuring the right things that allow you to measure that as well. And take the time to be able to do that, because if you don't, then again, you're going to be chasing your tail. You don't necessarily know which way you're going or how you're going to be doing it. So, I mean, you're trying to, we've got a lot of things we can count, but one of the main things we want to make sure that we count is making every click count at the end of the day. So that's kind of what's super important, is don't worry about the fluff, worry about how does this one help with my specific currency, my revenue, or my specific business goals as well. So that's really what's super important here.
I think especially service entities, service people, professional services, it's there's always these sales funnels and just do this and you can go to bed and everybody will buy your ebook.
Yeah, your bank account will be full in the morning.
Yes. And then let's go into affiliate marketing and all of that too. It's like, and but if and all of that can work, but you can't just go put it up and you know what I mean? There's a lot more that goes to it.
It still needs a lot of work. And again, a lot of people, if they had a strategy, if they had a foundation, they would know what it is that they need to do to be able to get there. It's not just a tool, right? You need more than a tool to be able. It's like, what tool do you take to fix your house? Well, guess what? It depends on what you're trying to fix. Is it the toilet? Is it the sink? Is it is it a plug? Is it your fridge? Is it all these different things? You need special tools, you need different tools. So I'm not saying don't go out and get the right tools, but make sure you have the right tool for the job, for the right job.
Everybody's got a tool in their house somewhere. Hiding downstairs.
And if you don't have the tool, then what do? You call the plumber, or you call the electrician or whatever. So we kind of have to have that same mindset. It's like your hammer is not going to cure everything in your business, so make sure you don't have one. So what a lot of people do is they'll buy these funnel pages, there's quite a few out there, and look, they are fundamentally decent because it helps with the sales process. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them because it's very mechanical type thing, but the point is that it helps simplify some of it. You need to add to that, and that's what the problem is, that people don't actually add to it. They don't kind of use their strategy to build upon it. They don't have that foundation to build up, so they miss out, or it sits in the sidelines and it doesn't get used for like a year, 18 months kind of thing.
If people just do sales all the time, we talk about this with clients who do newsletters, they just want to go, oh, we have a sale. Oh, we have a sale. And we're like, you need to teach something. You need to give them something back. Right. And you talk about that education part of it. I remember a client years ago was a wedding coordinator, and it was right in the beginning of podcasting, and at that point running around with a little recorder, and I said, you need to do this. And and we actually did have to get wine out because she was so nervous, and then she freaked me out. I'm like, no, let's get wine. She's like, oh, I have it in my bottom drawer. I'm like, okay, now I like you. This is a good client. But anyway, so we did these recordings, and I don't know anything about the wedding business, but I knew what to ask, and I really, that's not my thing. And so, but anyway, we did these recordings and released them on a specific time, very consistent. And she got business off of it. You know what she got from that was people came, they were looking at her website, and when they heard her, she got comments back saying, oh, I heard your voice. And she's a wedding planner, so that's an intimate relationship. And I felt like that got them to her door for her to now take them on a tour, do everything. And they said, when I heard your voice, I felt so connected. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think that way. Like, I just knew that this was something you needed to do, but it was a personal connection. And it's something I try to tell people. It's like, you have to have that connection. And if you're always asking for a sale, if you think it's always money motivated, you're discrediting your clients.
Yeah, they're smart, and they're looking for something more than just a sale.
Mhm.
Honestly, if they just wanted a sale, they could go to, not in every case, but they could go to Amazon, right? That's just a sale. It's like click a button and away you go. But
Mm.
how we compete, and I said you can compete head to head with Amazon technically, right? All the pieces are there, but you need to kind of create more of an experience. And fundamentally, that's been a huge shift as well, is that the businesses that are winning out there, they're the ones that are creating that experience through education, through learning, through, storytelling, through all of these great tools that we have at our disposal to create that value, that intrinsic value that doesn't necessarily have a dollar to it, but it relates what you do to their story of
Mhm.
transformation. And if you can kind of build that foundation again of, the story of really what's important to them and the value that you're providing through storytelling or whatever, they're going to
Mhm.
create an emotional connection with you.
Mhm.
And if they
That's a
don't,
positive.
well, then they'll your product really is essentially just a commodity. It's like something off the shelf. I can go to Walmart, I can go to Amazon and buy it, and I don't need
Meh.
an emotional transaction, right? But
No, the emotion's important. Yeah.
yeah, to have that emotional transformation, we kind of need to get in there. We need to create that experience, and it's getting easier and easier online. It still can obviously it still has its challenges. And I'm not talking about building a web 3.0 VR reality or that sort of thing, the metaverse either. Like
Oh,
that's a
good
little bit
God.
too far for small businesses. And honestly, I wouldn't worry about that for a small business entrepreneur for a number of years. But the point is that this is all coming about because we're trying to build better experiences. So that should be top of your list, to say, hi, my foundation of experiences is what, and then I can build upon that.
Mm. I
I
like the
can,
experience. I think that's
yeah,
huge because
it
even if you go to
is.
a restaurant, right? You don't want to just
Yeah,
have here's my whatever discounted pizza.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I actually want to have an experience,
yeah,
it's about the atmosphere. I mean, even where we're at, like, where as we travel, we pet sit, we do tourism stuff and people give you visitor guides and everything. Well, when you pet sit, and we're not doing it for money, everyone, it's just a nice socially distanced way of hanging out with
yeah.
dogs. But, they leave you like notes. It's like an Airbnb person telling you what to do. And they'll say, like, go here for the pizza. And this is a very recent one. Go here for the pizza. Do not stay there. The atmosphere sucks. The pizza
Oh,
is
okay.
expensive, but worth it in where we are. So bring it home and, eat it this way, and
Nice.
it's like, but they're letting you know, but I'm going, that if you lose that experience, because if we went to the restaurant, we would, and the experience was good, wouldn't we have had a second glass of wine?
No,
I know
exactly.
I
But
would have,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, that's what a good experience does. It makes you want to stay there or do more or
Mhm.
that sort of thing. And that's what you should be creating with all your digital assets. And whether or not you have live, or but whether you have products that kind of complement what the main product is, or it comes with some extra bonuses that nobody else can offer because they're
Mhm.
not you, right? That's a huge advantage of entrepreneurship, is that a lot of the value comes from you specifically. So if you're able to translate that into supporting your products, that kind of sets you a step above in terms of what
Mhm.
you're able to offer your clients and your businesses,
Yeah.
because nobody can replicate that, and that becomes part of your core strategy, and that you do need to kind of dig this out and pull it out. Sometimes it does take time, but you need to unlock your genius, your expertise, to say, hey, this is critical for my business, and I can be part of that business. I can provide
Mhm.
that as an add-on to my normal services.
So what led you to be a digital smarty pants? Like, where, tell us, because I mean, I was reading your bio, you've done this, that, and the other. I mean, you've been around, like, and you're only 16 apparently. So
Yeah,
like, how did it
really.
all start? Like for
Thank
you,
you.
like getting into that and understanding the core, I Nancy and I just, we just jumped in and got battered around a lot and figured it out and practiced.
Look, a lot of it is that too, right? So yeah, a lot of entrepreneurship is just doing it too, but kind of if you
Yeah,
had a clear strategy, then you're able to build upon that and
right.
take some hits, but the hits aren't gonna knock you out, kind of thing.
You got to write it down. You got to understand, you've got to learn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have, I think, was it Muhammad Ali who said everybody has a strategy until they get punched in the face or something
Exactly.
like that.
Then it's like,
But it'll
then I
help you
will
get
kill
up.
you and eat your feet. And we used
Yeah,
to say that a lot.
really.
We'll kill you and
Yeah.
eat your feet. That way you can't get to heaven. You have no,
Yeah, okay.
sorry, I'm
Um,
nice.
no, that's okay. Yeah, no, look, I've been in business for entrepreneurship for like 20 plus, just over 20 years. So I took my master's in business in 2002, and I did my thesis on a startup business that I created back in Winnipeg in Canada, um, back so many years ago. And I kind of built it into an e-commerce business, and then expanded it into the US and into Europe and then into Australia. And that's kind of how I found myself over here, when I realized, hey, wait a sec, it doesn't have to be minus 40 in the winter.
Dude, I'm listen, all I know is we're up on that. No, we're not even there yet, but no, I'm cold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's mighty cold there, but it's beautiful here year round too, other than a little bit of rain here and there. So but yeah, so I've been in business and built that e-commerce around the world, and it was a business to consumer. So we kind of got the inside scope on, what kind of strategies did you need, what tactics worked, what didn't, and that sort of thing. And then just expanded that into helping businesses to say, here, what are the pieces that are really fundamentally important? And it always came back to having a whatever you want to call it, a roadmap, a platform, a strategy, a foundation. Businesses that don't have one see a much less rate of success than ones that do. And it doesn't mean it has to like sit on the shelf and you kind of wrote it and it becomes a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. It has to be integrated, and you have to be able to build those tools. And that's one of the tools I don't know how much time we have, but
Well, I want to
that
do this
yeah,
stratahedron. I gotta say it.
stratahedron.
I
It
keep
is
looking at it to see if I'm gonna pronounce it right, because I give everything new names. So bring out the tool.
Yeah, so it's been kind of I like playing with things and kind of trying to be creative and that sort of thing. So how do we make strategy really, really simple? Because it can seem like it's complicated, and it can seem like it's unachievable. And I think maybe that's why a lot of people don't actually build one.
Hmm.
But fundamentally, a strategy is about the value that you're delivering over an amount of time, or whatever the case may be. So having that laid down is very important. And like I suggested at the beginning, it kind of puts a banner on the top to say, hey, this is where this bus is going. Do you want to come for the ride, for the transformation, for the trip? And you wouldn't get on an airplane. You wouldn't go to an airplane and go just appear at one of the gates and go, yeah, I'm going to try my luck today and see where this plane goes, right? It might be fun for one
Especially
or
not
two
right now.
tries.
Actually, you could get up in
Yeah,
the wrong zone.
yeah, exactly. So it's very clear where you're going. It's like, I'm going to Los Angeles, I'm going to Sydney, I'm going something what town are you in? Okina,
Ilwaco.
Illuwaco? Yeah, I'm
Ilwaco.
going to Illuwaco if planes go there. Um, so you want to be very specific.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you do it. Likewise on a bus, like the metaphor of transportation is really key to business too. It's like, guess what? It says it on the front, even a city bus, it says where you're going. You
Right.
don't just randomly go and on, I think I might try this bus. You're very specific. So why aren't people specific in business? Why don't you have that banner that says this is the
It's this
value that I'm
weird
delivering?
romantic delusion of like, I'm an
There you
entrepreneur.
go.
Do you know
Yeah,
what
I
I
should know
mean?
all this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to do it because it sounds cool, man. And then they sink tons of money. You know what? The people that lose the most money are those exciting entrepreneurs. They
Yeah.
get their first like investors or, loan from a bank, or they have the cash and they buy everything that they think they need and lose it pretty fast.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sorry, but it's that romanticism of an
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
true. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. But you can tune that enthusiasm. You can kind of tune that romanticism into saying, okay, first, let's find out where we're at
Mhm.
and where do we want to go. Very, very simple. Where are we at? Where do we want to go? And a lot of people will say, well, I've got that in my head, but it's like, well, do you really? Because there's going to be a lot of shit that you're going to encounter along the way that's kind of going to push you off the path. And if you allow it to push you, either you've suggested it, or it's just kind of come naturally, or it's like a natural disaster, whatever the case may be, where local businesses shut down, you know, you don't have anything to go on. So yeah, you might think I'm going with the swings and the punches and away I go, but if I haven't determined that destination, People aren't going to come on my bus. They're not going to come on my airplane because they don't know where's this guy going, kind of thing. So it
No
actually, you can
trust.
harness that,
Mhm.
enthusiasm for starting a business. Cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. We need more small businesses. We need more entrepreneurs out there.
Yes.
But let's harness it to be able to say, okay, let's start by getting focused. Let's not start, okay, we got a product, cool, or we've got our idea, fantastic, let's go with that. But let's eke it out. Let's see, where is it that we're going to be taking them? What are we going to do? What value are we going to provide? How are we going to provide that value? How are we going to provide our expertise? How are we going to provide this environment, this experience, making it alluring and inviting and that sort of thing. And if you map it out, doesn't mean it's like a solid plan and you can't change it. It means it's dynamic to say, okay, yes, there is stuff that's going to come up along the way, a little detour, but do you want to go off the detour or to get back on track, or do you want to take the detour and just continue that pathway too? Because sometimes that happens, right? Because you've done some experiments, because you've tried out what works and what doesn't, because you've kind of tested your assumptions, you can do that. But if you don't kind of align that, you're all over the literal map.
It sounds like me canoeing. I just go in circles. If you don't
There you
know, it's
go.
true.
But there's a time and a
true.
place for going on a canoe.
There is, and it's
just
fun.
wandering.
But but I think what's great about your tool, and you can say the name because I'm going to screw it up again. But what I like about this is that, when I remember doing all these courses, and I've been to every course and book, and it gets to a point of, oh God, now I have to write a thesis. It's always like, the mapping part gets to this point of, and we're in a very like visual, I mean, people will look at photos before they'll read a headline and then like, we'll move on. So you've got your mapping process, and you do need to go through that journey. If you cannot go through that, you're not going to be able to deliver in a business. You have to get real with it. Right. And it's like, but what I love about your tool is that it's something tangible, because people are touchy-feely, it's interactive, but it's something that can keep you on track just by looking at a simple word.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I came up with. It's actually from an earlier process that I call the digital strategy expedition. So you can see the diagram there.
He's always expediting.
Yeah, exactly. But that's because, look, we need to look at it for what it is. And quite honestly, what's really important is that business is hard, right? It's not easy. So if you're prepared for that journey, then you're going to do okay. If you're not prepared at all, you might last, and you might not, you might get lucky and you might not, or it might take you, 10 years instead of 5, or whatever the case may be. If I asked you, Lisa, to say, hey, let's go climb Mount Everest tomorrow, I'm going to pay for everything, right? I'm going to send you to Nepal. I'm going to, all the equipment's going to be at the airport, and away we go. What would you say? I hope you'd say no. Thanks,
I
Doyle.
was already
really
shaking
appreciate it.
because you didn't say there was wine involved.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, we'll send some wine too.
Well,
Make it
then
more
maybe,
enticing.
because now you got to a core element that I would buy. But no, because no, I don't. I'm cold already. I'm not going up there.
There you go. Well, but that's the point, is that you're not prepared mentally
No.
to be able to do that, and physically. For a lot of us, getting older in age, it's like we can barely hike to the shopping
Dude,
center.
I'm not going up. I'm not going up. It's just too hard.
Yeah. So let's call it what it is. Let's call it an expedition, because there were some good expeditions in the past that made some great strides across the US and across Canada, and down through the South Pole and the North Pole and across the oceans and blah, blah, blah. The ones that survived were the ones that typically were prepared, and not just with the tools, but with the people as well, to say, this is the psychology that I need to be able to prepare for that. So if we think of business like an expedition, we need to be able to understand that there's going to be some pitfalls, there's going to be some difficulties, some challenges, but guess what?
War, competition,
more competition. Yeah. Everything. So if we treat it for what it is, it's a battle out there. And let's be completely honest. If we prepare ourselves for it, we can get through it, because we see, okay, this is the base camp, and then we go to the next base camp, and then we go to the next one. And we, learn stuff along the way, or we prepare ourselves for that initial journey as well. So we need to be prepared. So this was kind of one of those models that came out of that. It's like, how do we actually simplify that expedition to say, okay, what's really important? And if you could, create one of these, like basically just from a piece of paper.
Look at it. It's cool.
Yeah, you're able to print it out on the tool, and there's a workshop behind this, right? So you can go to the tool and actually build one and answer the questions, and it'll build one for you, and then you basically cut it out and you fold it and glue
you
it,
get
and
to actually do a project, which is fun.
yeah, this becomes your roadmap. So then I can look at each of these faces and go, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to go after these 3 things. Then the next 3 months, I'm going to go after these 3 things, and so on and so forth. So then you just stick it on your. Actually,
there is something about the 3
wall, on
the
your
number
wall or
3.
whatever.
That's part of a cycle. Like even, like 21, like if you're not going to have wine anymore, you have to do it for 21 days and then you're okay. And then you can drink again.
There you
But you
go.
know what I mean? It's like that. There's something with that number and the prime numbers. There's something weird about the psychology of that, of not, you do something once and then you're going to have to do it twice. The third time you're comfortable, then it's ready to roll. And then we leave town. But
Yeah.
that's how
Well,
we
and I
roll.
call it a business growth pathway strategy, a GPS, because that's fundamentally what it is. You don't, once you've been to a location, you don't need to plug it in. You've got a really good idea of where you're going and what you need and how you're going to get there and blah, blah, blah. But when you're first starting out, what do? The first thing you do is you punch it into your Google Maps or wherever on your phone, and away you go. And you follow it. And then okay, well, this is where I am and this is how I'm getting there. And this is what I need to get there. After some time, guess what? It's intuitive. You've built it and you programmed your brain to be able to say, this is the journey that I'm taking you on. And it's fundamentally the same. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't need to pull out my GPS every time. I don't need to pull that out every time. But guess what? I can go back and check. I can go see, hey, wait a sec. I missed that corner. Where was that corner? What did we say?
Did you have magnets on yours or what?
Yeah, no, it's magic. It's floating.
He's got like little, that's cool. You could hang it from your dashboard, like, or, from,
There you go. You can have
But
your
no,
business model.
but you're right
hanging from
about
your
the
rearview
GPS
mirror.
because just as traveling, like I got used to just doing we're going. Especially during COVID, we had so many detours. We knew what we were doing, but like detour, and we just get on the GPS. Like now we're doing. I got to a point where I forgot what the map of the country. I had no clue if we're going on mountain passes. I didn't know. Next thing you know, you're in downtown St. Louis and you're on a one-way street going the wrong way. So like I learned get a grip and go backwards. What the hell are you doing? Look at the atlas. Like I have 2 atlases in the car, and you need to look at them to get a visual. Like, where do you want to go? Because I started letting the GPS dictate everything, and that sometimes it's fun. And we've ended up in some very odd places in swamps. No, seriously, I now know how to reverse through wildlife refuges like you wouldn't believe. You would not believe, but if you don't actually do it first and you let something, you will just go you'll end up like I am in a swamp. And when I drive and play, but I kind of enjoy that, but that's not for business. I do not want that for my business, right? So my point is like you're saying, know first, and then GPS is like what you have already know and said what you want.
You're
and then it
using
flows.
your knowledge. Yeah. It's a training tool. It's an aid to get you there. Right.
Yeah.
It's not the ultimate and be all. And if you've ever, maybe that we should put the name to that. It's like GPS anxiety or something, where you program it in and you go with it. And then it's like, you get there and it's like, oh my God, how do I get there? I can never backtrack because of that. So, but that's because you're learning new stuff. It's like you're in a new environment. Maybe you're driving on a different side of the road, or, so
that happens.
There's so much stimulation.
Don't drink and drive.
Like, yeah, you get there.
Just kidding.
It's like, how did I get there? I have no idea, but I got there. So that's a good thing, right? So the first time you do it, it can be a challenge, and you might not be sure of all of it, but if you have all these pieces in place, guess what? That's what it was telling you to do. And that's because you did it.
I know I tell you, having an idea of where you're going is a good thing. And you can't it's like artists who just go, oh, I just love making art. But then why are you doing this show? What are you doing with the show? What are you curating it? Or are you just throwing your pieces of art on the wall and hoping something will stick and resonate, or you don't care about making sales, then why are you doing the art show?
Yeah, no, true.
You
Because
know?
I think honestly, and no negativity towards entrepreneurs, and myself being one, is that we feel that we can take on the world. Like a lot of us, the reason why we said we want to be able to start a business is because we feel we know something really good. I'm a great artist, I'm a great musician, I'm a great technician, I can build this product, I can do this kind of service. So we take that and go, yeah, I can take on the world with that. But businesses, and look, there are occasions where, yeah, it just kind of seems to work out naturally or lucky or whatever. But for the majority of us, we really have to put a lot of effort into it to take on the world, but say, okay, I don't know how this goes. I don't know how this works. I don't know where I need to focus, or where even is that destination. I'm not really sure. And it's okay to say that I'm not really sure at this point, but it's not okay to just kind of wing it unless you feel that that's kind of where you want to
Unless
go
you
as
have that
well.
money for it, because
Yeah.
you can lose
It,
so much money, and it's not the time to do it.
if you look at any professional athlete, or race car drivers, or Olympic athletes, or hockey teams, or whatever, like, what do they have? They don't know everything. They're still learning. Like, they may be in their 5th Stanley Cup playoff, but they're still learning. And why are they learning? Because they've got a coach. They've
Mhm.
got somebody who tells them, Gretzky,
Adele
you're
has a
doing
voice
this.
coach. I mean, Adele has a
There
voice
you
coach.
go.
Like,
But
goddamn, who needs a voice? If you can sing like that, why do you need
yeah,
a
but
voice
do
coach?
you really need a
Apparently she
voice
does.
coach?
Apparently
Yeah,
she
so
does.
it's one of those entrepreneur dysfunctions, or just things that we think that, hey, we can take on the world with what we've got, but we need that help. And the ones who recognize that, Adele, she's got a voice coach.
Mhm.
Race car drivers, they've get coaching, like, by
You need
multiple
that.
people. Hockey, professional sports athletes, one-on-one athletes, like, they have coaches. You don't think that a swimmer, or a diver, or whatever the sport is, they've got a coach that
Mhm.
helps them improve their performance, so they know where exactly it is. You're going to the Olympics in 2024, or whatever the case may be. They've got that help. Whereas entrepreneurs, we think, yeah, I can do it. I'm a great painter, I'm a great
And you
artist,
just
I'm a
keep
great
running out with a
musician.
sword, and you just keep hacking at bushes. That's what it is. It is like that. I'm going through the bushes. Like, here we go. That's it. It is kind
Yeah.
of like the David Goliath syndrome that we have
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs. We can do that. But if you don't have that, yeah, that platform, I think
So
definitely what your book and your groups, people need to go and sign up and get involved, and read the book and get help. But that's the cool thing, is like, you kind of, because you have a roadmap, Doyle,
that
you know
that
how to
floats in
connect everybody
that
so they
floats
can,
in space.
yeah, you can, and magnets. He has magnets. So,
Oh,
like,
it's
if
floating.
everyone, they can, how do they connect? If they go to the I've got to get your website again here.
Oh, that's
I
okay.
was just want to go Department Digital, excuse me,
Yeah,
DEPT
dot
dot
digital. Yeah.
digital. If everyone, you go there, you can connect with Doyle, and also on Facebook and Twitter. You're on there, LinkedIn, of course. But for getting to make the little tool that I can't pronounce.
Stratahedron.
Yeah, but you're Canadian in Australia, so that
Yeah.
doesn't count.
See, well, there's how you
Stratahedron,
spell it.
stratahedron.
It's because this is actually, if four-sided pyramid is called a tetrahedron, just for math
Okay.
class for today. So a four-sided pyramid. So you see the ones in yeah, they're in Egypt, they're four-sided, aren't they? I think some of them are. Some of them might be
No,
four-sided
that
or
it looks,
five-sided.
Egypt looks like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. So
Sphinx.
anyway, they're called a tetrahedron. That's sort of the scientific name of the shape. And
Okay,
from
but
an
he's
engineering
strategizing.
background,
So,
yeah. And then you
okay.
strategize about your tetrahedron. So it's a
Oh
stratahedron.
my God, I am going to drink wine after this.
Yes, me too. I'll get started early.
Oh man, oh man. Well, it's been a good chat.
Yeah.
I want people to like go for it, but exactly like we were saying, have that map and understand where you're going, and then tweak as you go, because entrepreneurship's cool because no one else can take your job away.
Yeah, you are the business.
You
So
are
that
it,
that
and
becomes an integrate
have
part
some
of it.
stress with
Yeah.
that. Have some wine.
Yeah, there you go.
So everyone, again, it's Doyle Buehler, and not like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because I don't know if he takes that many days off, but the Amazon bestselling book is Breakthrough. It's #Breakthrough. Unleash your remarkable brand value, influence, and authority. Again, Department Digital. So it's DEPT.digital. And of course, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thanks so much, Doyle. It's been fun. And we'll see you on
It's been a
Facebook.
pleasure.
More in the group too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate your time and inviting me.
Take care.